G'day, I'm Brad.
And I'm Andy. And welcome to your first whiskey. This month we're going to be tasting the Tomatin 12-year-old. It's a Highland whiskey.
The Highland region is one of the largest of the Scottish whisky regions. In fact, it's the largest of the Scottish whisky regions. It extends from the east coast to the west coast of the north and encompasses much of the north coast. Includes many landlocked distilleries as well as seaside distilleries.
Right. So, due to the large geographical range of the Highlands, the whiskies from the Highlands must show a large range of flavours.
Right, yeah.
So much so, you couldn't put a rule of thumb to describe all of the Highland whiskies. Like, you get the seaside distilleries that would be making whiskies that exhibit the same traits as Islay and Island whiskies, and then you get the whiskies which would create whiskies that were more like the Speyside region.
Yeah, the Speyside region, incidentally, was once considered part of the Highlands and not its own region. It's only fairly recently that it's a region in its own right now.
And then you get all the glens or the valleys, and they had their own microclimates as well, didn't they? So you'd produce a large range of different flavours right across the Highlands. And I guess that's why the Highlands are so famous.
Yep. And as we said at the start of this video, this month's whisky is the Tomatin 12-year-old. The Tomatin distillery is one of the oldest in Scotland, and it's located just south of Inverness. It's established in 1897 and is also one of Scotland's largest distilleries. In fact, during the 1970s, it was running an amazing 23 stills and producing 12 million litres of whisky a year.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of whisky. These days it produces much less, but it's still operating around 12 stills, which is quite an impressive number compared to most other distilleries in Scotland.
Yeah, right. Just an interesting tidbit about Tomatin.
Oh, yes?
Yeah. It's one of the few distilleries that actually has houses on the site. So there's about 25 families that still live on the Tomatin site. So it's a real family, a real team effort that goes into making the Tomatin.
Oh, there you go. Well, I think it's time for a taste. But hang on, but before we do, let's just quickly run through how we taste whisky. Firstly, we want to have a look at the colour of the whisky, and this gives us an indication of what sort of oak it was aged in. And a bit of a clue to its age, but more of the oak. We'll look closely at the different effects of oak in a few months, but for now, let's just generalise and say whisky is either aged in American ex-bourbon oak or European oak that had previously aged sherries. The European oak whiskies will exhibit a deeper colour, and it can be darker or lighter, indicating how long it's been in the oak. The American oak aged whiskies is normally a lighter straw-coloured whiskies. In the case of the Tomatin, this one's an American oak, but finished in European sherry from Spain, Spanish sherry. And this is very evident in the bronze colour that this whisky exhibits.
Yeah, and then once we've looked at the colour, then we look at the aromas, right? The smell.
Mm-hmm. Or the nose. And the best bit, we then taste it.
Hey!
We refer to this as the palate. So we take a decent sip, we let it roll around and coat your mouth for a few seconds before swallowing it, and note, what can you taste immediately? How does it feel in your mouth? You know, is it dry or is it oily?
And then once you've swallowed it, then you can appreciate the finish. And they're the flavours and the aromas that linger in your mouth, and you can sort of, does it last for a long time? Is it over quickly? And quite often you'll actually get a range of flavours that come through that you didn't even taste, or you weren't even detectable when you were initially tasting the whisky.
That's all very interesting, and just leaves us with one more job. Why don't we just have a dram?
Hey! Right. Like a top up there.
No, I've never seen that.
So it's got that bronze colour, hasn't
it? Yep. And the nose it's fairly light nose. It's fruity.
Bit of malt though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a bit of peat you can sort of taste.
Yeah, a bit of peat coming through.
We'll have a taste.
I get apples and pears straight away.
Yeah, and a lot of malt malty sort of flavours with some nuttiness.
Yeah, definitely some like almonds and hazelnuts. And how's that finish? Is it coming through now?
It's just long and satisfying. You kind of just chew on it for a minute, don't you?
Yeah, it's got some real richness to it too, and creaminess. Well, that's it for our first introduction to whiskey. And I bet you're looking forward to receiving your bottle. But remember, only reply to this email if you don't want to get this whiskey. If you want to get an extra bottle, reply and let us know. But if you're happy getting a bottle of the Tomatin 12-year-old, don't do anything. We'll have it to your door in about a week or so.
So until next month, Slanjavar.
Slanjavar.
It's good, isn't it?
Very nice.